it is public already. Yeah, we made it public.
Perfect.
Yada yada yada.
Yep. Okay. Let me.
You're live. Okay.
Perfect.
So you're live. So I'm gonna carry my rig over to the side now.
Cool.
And I gotta get offset from you a little bit.
You said live, right?
Yes, you should be live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, should be. Is the mic on?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, it is.
Ah.
All right. Well, if you thought we were done for today, ladies and gentlemen, of course not, because Dragon's coming back into port. So, of course, we were going to be here to show it to you. And what you are looking at is the boat that Dragon is on coming back into Port Canaveral. They are about 15-ish minutes away from entering port. That can vary some. It's not a launch to the International Space Station. They don't have to hit the, instantaneous single-second window. But we thought it would be cool. I'm here with Das.
Hey.
He's got what I affectionately refer to as the DOS zoom camera, otherwise known as a P1000. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah. So he's taken some other video for us, and oh boy, that video is even better.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
So we're gonna have some even, we're gonna have a lot more footage of this return to port later on, but we're gonna be here with you until it comes back on into port. So I have the stream pulled up. I have our chat pulled up in it. So guys, women, men, people, whatever. I usually say guys, like it's nerds. There we go. That's probably better. So if you have questions, so if you've got questions, go ahead and put them up in the chat for this live stream, and I'll be going through and I'll answer them as we go. So as we said, we're live here at Port Canaveral at Jetty Park. You are looking at the ship that successfully recovered the Dragon spacecraft after it performed its in-flight abort maneuver this morning, and what a maneuver that was. Das,
what did I do?
No, you by far had the coolest view of it. Do you want to let everyone know where you were today?
Oh my gosh, we went out on one of the Starfleet tour charter boats, and they took us right to the edge of the exclusion zone. I don't spend a lot of time in boats, but it was a little bit choppy out there today. They said it was 4 to 7 foot seas, and it was like riding a rodeo bull. So we got a great view of it, but it was rough out there.
And you can find some of the video that Das shot on our YouTube channel and on his Twitch channel. Yeah, it was really good. So the first question we have actually isn't about this mission, and that's totally okay. Yeah. It can be about anything space related, SpaceX, Dragon, Falcon 9, Starliner, the Solar Orbiter mission launching in 2 weeks. It can be about anything. But Kenji Okura wants to know, when will the static fire for Tuesday's Starlink launch occur, which is an excellent question. So the exact timing is not public, but what we can assume based on the previous Starlink static fires is that it will occur sometime late tomorrow morning or early afternoon our time.
Right.
They like to static fire these about 24 hours just ahead of liftoff, since the Starlinks are already attached and they don't have to roll back to put the payload on board.
Right.
So an excellent question. So this is a live stream of the capsule returning to port, which totally is. And like I said, they're about 15-ish minutes out. That can vary, but I see the waves. They're moving.
I'm trying to see if I can get the bigger camera on the live stream right quick.
Oh, so perfect. So we're going to see if we can have dual streams going here. Yeah.
Also trying to answer your questions, but
yes. So let's see what other questions we've got. If you got questions, throw them up. If you're nervous about asking a question, please don't be. We're here to bring this to you. We're here to answer any of your questions. If you're nervous, go ahead and ask it. I guarantee you someone else is thinking the exact same thing and also too nervous to ask. It's been a day though. Like our day started at 4 a.m. and here we are at 6:30.
It's been a day. That's an understatement.
It's been a day, but man, what a fun day it really was. So the capsule was loaded onto the ship about 2 hours after it successfully splashed down. It splashed down at 10:39 a.m. After a launch from 10:30 from the launch pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, and the crews were able to recover it and get it into the nest, as they call it, of the recovery ship within 2 hours. They've been doing some additional safing operations and everything like that with the capsule and practicing recovery operations out there. So that's why they didn't just grab it and immediately start back in. They took some time to really make sure they were getting the good practice that they need down for the eventual, for when they actually recover crew, starting with the Demo 2 mission in a few months.
Chris, I'm sorry. I'm totally doing the Yeah,
You are.
Because I wanted to see if we could do this.
Barely listening to me. No,
hang on.
You drone me out.
Let's see if it works. All right, did that work? Update successful. And are we gonna go side by side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Side by
a little
side.
dark there, huh?
So the side by side, the darker image is the DOS zoom camera.
I'm gonna see if I can clean that up a little bit. But that is all the way out there.
But what you are looking at on the split screen there is the same ship, just one a lot more zoomed in than the other, and that is the Dragon being brought back into Port Canaveral here.
We might have doubled the audio there, so I just undid the audio doubling. That was
okay, cool. Sorry about that if that happened, guys. Is SpaceX going to make a static fire of their Dragon crew that will take the 2 astronauts up for DM2, for the crew demo flight? That's an excellent question, Paul. No, so they do not plan to static fire the Super Dracos of the Dragon capsules before each launch, but they will static fire the booster like they normally do before each crew launch. That's a standard part of their practice. But great question there, they won't be static firing the Super Dracos on Dragon every single time ahead of liftoff like they do the boosters. And actually, right underneath that, to the person who said that the demo capsule won't be ready for months, that's not correct. The capsule for Demo 2, all the hardware, the rocket, the trunk, the capsule, everything for the Demo 2 crew flight will be ready by the end of February. And NASA and SpaceX anticipate that the reviews thereafter will take a couple of months. So that's what gets us into the early part of Q2 of 2020, the April, May, June timeframe for the actual launch. But the capsule itself will be ready at the end of February. So yeah, if you got questions, keep throwing them up. I'm just scrolling through. Do we expect important information to be shared on? Oh yeah, no, this is important information. This isn't just celebratory. If you guys have questions, ask your questions, definitely, not just celebratory.
I mean, honestly, I've always wanted to come out and see one of the boosters returning to port, and I've never made it because it launches, then I got to get back home.
I haven't either, because they usually come back like 4 days later.
And right here.
I know, and it's usually overlapping with other things happening on the Cape or at home. Yeah.
So we decided to come out here because we wanted to see something come back, right? So we're hanging out. We'll answer questions. We'll try to get these camera views going and stuff like that. But
and so your next question was Dragon damaged at all in the in-flight abort? No, it was not. They said Dragon looked like it was in excellent condition following its splashdown in the initial stages of recovery. And it really was. I mean, Das, it really was an awesome day. You don't often call a day when a rocket blew up a good day.
You never do that except for when it's testing like this, intentional.
Yeah. But one of the cool things about the abort test this morning was that when the first stage of the Falcon 9 was torn apart by the aerodynamic forces, The second stage and the inner stage actually survived.
Right.
And, you know, Das got some video of it. I know we got photos and video of it, too, of that second stage surviving intact until it hit the water.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely incredible to see. We have a question here about any word of onboard footage during the fireball. So I assume you're asking about was there any footage from the Falcon 9's onboard cameras when it began to fail?
Right.
I mean, Falcon 9 did have onboard cameras. The first stage did, so that would be up for SpaceX to release it, which they have not at this point. So the Major Tom, great name for spaceflight, excellent name, wants to know when is the first human flight scheduled? And we talked about that a little bit earlier. They definitely said today Q2 of 2020, so April, May, or June. But they did make a point of emphasizing that the hardware for the mission will be ready by the end of February. And after that, it's just the reviews to make sure everything's in place. Christian Hubbs wants to know what was the status of the capsule when it was recovered? How were the Super Dracos and Hypergalls? Was it all safe as planned for crewed missions? The answer is yes. They said this test went perfectly. And I'm not paraphrasing there. Like Kathy Leaders, the NASA Commercial Crew Program Manager, said it looked perfect.
Right.
And that there was no initial cause for concern, but obviously you got to really dig down into the data.
Yeah, there's tons of data that comes from something like this.
But yeah, it all went to plan. The Super Dracos, the Hypergalls, everything was safe for the recovery crews to approach Dragon and get it recovered and into the nest of its recovery boat. How fast did Dragon come down? That's an excellent question. So Dragon came down at a few different speeds. So the maximum speed that it reached during the test was Mach 2.2 times the speed of sound. That was the maximum speed it attained when the Super Dracos were firing to pull it away from the top of the Falcon 9. After that, it actually started to slow down a little bit as it coasted up to the highest point in its arc. And then it began falling and gaining speed as it fell toward the ocean. But then the two drogue parachutes deployed, and that slowed it down some. And then the four main parachutes deployed, and that slowed it down even further.
More, yeah.
But it very, very gentle splashdown into the ocean, like even more gentle, like kind of like a 5 mile per hour car crash, right? Like
into water.
You feel it stop, but it's not like a kaboom
it's
crash.
It's more of a cannonball into the ocean than anything else, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, lots of like different speeds is how it came down. Oh, thank you to whoever. I'll get down to it in chat. Thank you for whoever just threw us $5 in the super chat. Thank you so much. I'll get to your name and thank you by name.
Kenny Alexander.
Kenny Alexander.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Kenny. This is why it helps having two people here.
Yeah, exactly.
Will this Dragon be used for a CRS cargo mission? Nolan Hollefeld wants to know that. It's a good question, and we don't actually know the answer to that. They did touch upon this in the pre-flight news conference on Friday, and the answer was that they really needed first to get it back and assess its condition before deciding if it would be okay to reconfigure it for a cargo flight. And the main reason is when those Super Dracos fired, the capsule takes a beating when those Super Dracos ignite to pull it away. So they did not rule out that it could be used for a cargo mission, but they also wouldn't rule it in.
Right.
If that helps. But immediately what's next is this thing will be taken apart and analyzed because they will pull this sucker apart, because what they also want to know is how did it survive all the stresses of an abort at maximum dynamic pressure, and all of the things that it's sort of designed to do only in contingencies, not during normal operations. So that's the most immediate thing, Nolan. That's next. Jimmy Cleveland said, would the Dragon have escaped a rapid unscheduled disassembly like we saw with the Falcon 9 after it separated? The answer is yes. They did talk about that a lot, that Dragon Super Dracos provide enough thrust that even if the engines of the Falcon 9, which are commanded to shut down when any abort sequence triggers on Dragon, that even if there's a problem and they keep thrusting, Dragon will get away. Absolutely perfectly. So yes, if the first stage had rutted, a rapid unscheduled disassembly, although it was more of a rapid scheduled disassembly today, but RUD is what we refer to for anomalies.
Unplanned.
Yes, Dragon would have been able to get away just fine from it. Elon Musk even said at the post-flight news conference today that Dragon is even designed to, if the abort system fails to fire right away, or the explosion of the Falcon 9 were to happen so quickly
that it could
Dragon, it would be like a scene of the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars flying through the fireball, but that Dragon would survive that.
Nice.
Even it was built, and NASA, like Jim Bridenstine, the NASA administrator, and Kathy Leaders, the commercial crew program manager, confirmed that. You know, they jokingly said, well, we don't want to see it come out of a fireball.
Right.
But that it was actually designed to do that as well, which I thought was pretty cool.
So I've put the telescope here on the main screen.
Yep, so that would be Dragon lit up in the background.
On the back of it there, so it will be lit up as it drives by.
It will be lit up as it drives by, yes.
Yeah.
We weren't going to like tease you with only nighttime photographs,
so you know,
and video.
Like, it's super dark out here right now, right? It is dark. We're looking at the ocean.
$25 just from a supporter right now.
Nice.
How do I see who it is?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I had it just come up on the screen. Let's see. Tap.
I'm so sorry. I'm using a different app than I normally use for this.
Look. Paulie. Go away. I can't scroll up. If that last name is the name that I thought it... Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's Pauline!
It's Pauline!
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Pauline.
All I could see was the last name.
Oh my gosh, all we could see was your last name. We wanted to make sure it was you. Thank you so much, Pauline.
I don't want to guess that's
Pauline is an absolutely awesome photographer and spaceflight photographer. We miss her dearly. It's been many missions since she's been here, and we hope to welcome her back sometime soon. But Pauline, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Pauline.
So let's keep going with some of the question. What's our best bet for the first month of a crew test flight? I'm going to go with what they said today, that sometime in the second quarter, so April, May, and June. That really seemed to be a firm 3-month target at this point for when that demo crew flight will happen.
That seems so soon.
It does seem so soon. I mean, like, it's here. Like, that was part of the emotion of today.
Today was crazy.
Yeah.
Today felt like Falcon Heavy almost. And Falcon Heavy was nuts out here.
And
another $10.
Yeah, another $10. Thank you. We'll get your name. Thank you. But you know, today was really important for, like, you know, watching the abort happen, but especially the fact that this abort test happened to fall in the month of January.
Right.
When we have Apollo 1 and Challenger and Columbia all at the end of the month, right? It's I'm not ashamed to say that, like, I cried a little at this launch.
Yeah.
Because of the importance and because of how it harkens back to our past, right? And looking forward to our future and you know, everything like that, but just the coincidence of it coming in the month that we, especially the end week of January, when we really stop as a space community to remember the sacrifices of the 17 American astronauts, and then in June and July, the sacrifices of the 4 Soyuz, the 4 cosmonauts, the 4 Soviet cosmonauts who perished in Soviet accidents. It really hit home today.
Right.
Especially listening to the 2 crew members who were at the post-flight press conference who were talking about how their families were watching the abort.
Right. Wow.
And that really hit home. You know, like, families of the people who will fly these vehicles watching the abort happen, you know, and seeing how well it went. Really awesome. Really awesome.
Hey folks, just real quick to remind everybody who's watching online, we are on a public pier right now. We're actually at Jetty Park, right? So you hear other people, there's people out here fishing. I know we were sort of having a somber moment of remembrance and how important this is to us. And you may have heard some people yelling in the background. There are people out here who are fishing and stuff, right? So I just wanted to explain what you might have heard in the background right there. It's a public place. But
also this is fun to watch with the community, right? And to be out with everyone watching it come back. Paul Denny wants to know, is there anything that I personally wished had happened during this test flight? You know, I can say honestly exactly what I wished to happen on this test flight happened. It was a successful abort.
It went correctly.
Nothing visually in the first quick look data review seemed to indicate that it was anything but perfect. And of course, we'll wait for the official word on that. But that's what I was hoping for, because this was the very critical last test that SpaceX had to do to clear the way to start launching
human beings.
And it really needed to go perfect, and it really looks like it did. So exactly what I wished would have happened. So Derek Wise is saying he watched the launch from a viewing area outside of launch control.
Wow.
Wow. Well, congratulations. You were just briefly away from where you're just a few feet away from where I was. Any recommendations for a closing viewing area? Dude, if you were at the Launch Control Center at Kennedy, you were as close as you could get. That's the best view, but Das might have a different answer.
I'll trade you for a boat. How's that? Not from the launch.
There we go.
Not from the launch, but if you ever want to go on one of those boats, you're crazy.
But some great public viewing areas are where we are right now at Jetty Park, Playa Linda Beach to the north of the Cape, anywhere along the beach at Cocoa Beach, Titusville. Those are some really good public viewing locations as well. Are we also planning to cover the return of Go Navigator with the parts of the Falcon 9? Probably not. We've been up since 4 a.m. And I know a lot of us are hungry and tired.
Yeah.
Plus, there probably won't be a lot to see on that one.
Yeah.
Because the Falcon 9 is not in any recognizable shape.
You saw what happened today, right? They're going to have to go out there with like a comb and comb the seas for pieces of a Falcon 9 after that explosion.
Yeah.
Intentional explosion, right. Expected explosion.
A great question here from Jeffrey Lind. Does Dragon 2 dump its hypergolic fuels at some point after liftoff in order to have less room for error? No, because it needs those hypergols throughout the entire phase of flight. So from liftoff to landing, it needs those hypergols so they stay on board the craft and they don't vent them out.
I'm slacking on my job.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, so am I.
Yeah.
Where did it go? Like.
And whenever
Sorry, guys.
that camera's going to be better at low light, so whenever you get a good view of it, tell me and I'll switch back over.
Okay.
Right now
it's having a little trouble focusing. So, I've got it again. Okay.
When it gets closer.
Yeah, well, it's really close now.
Because there's still a lot of atmosphere between us here. So.
What will they do with the smaller debris? Will they So any pieces of floating debris that they found from the Falcon 9 this morning, they collected. They were not leaving anything that they found just floating on the surface of the ocean. Now that doesn't mean they necessarily found everything there was to find, but everything they did find, they recovered.
Right.
Definitely. Cyberzoni saying congrats on the successful mission. We've got to say that to SpaceX too, because man, it looked so easy and flawless and effortless, but man, it was anything but. Like
absolutely
said, anything but.
So much riding on it, right?
Yeah. So Brian Murphy wants to know, 2 hours sitting in salt water, what will that do to it? So it will have some effect, but they have really perfected how they clean the Dragons and refurbish them for reflight, because the cargo Dragons also sit in the ocean for an hour or two before they're pulled out of the Pacific Ocean and brought back to the port of San Diego. So SpaceX really has a good handle on how to deal with saltwater corrosion and prevent it from having any deleterious effects for later missions. Oh, so there's a great question here from Psychonaut 421. I thought they had to recover it within an hour for crew. Is it actually 2? So no, it is 1. But what they were doing today was also practicing a lot of their off-nominal recovery techniques that they haven't had a chance to do with actual flight hardware, but just test mock-ups. So that's why it took a little bit longer today to get it onto the boat, was just them practicing all of that.
We've got to the point where we can see people walking around Dragon back there.
Yeah.
And look at all the birds following it. Yo, I think those lights are birds.
Oh, so a good question here from Tim Tree. What about Dragon's trunk that's separated? So Dragon's trunk is not recovered. So it had no recovery systems, no parachutes, no nothing on board. So it just slammed into the ocean at terminal velocity and was destroyed.
Gotcha.
When it hit the water. And the trunks are actually also jettisoned prior to reentry. So the trunks burn up in the atmosphere on normal missions.
Right. And the trunks don't have a bunch of fuel in them or anything, so they're not going to make a fireball or anything when you see them. They're just mostly structure, right?
Which one do you think is harder, catching a fairing or a Crew Dragon? Well, they're not trying to catch Crew Dragon in a net.
Did Elon make a comment about that today? What was that? You were there. Was that a tweet or something?
I don't remember something about catching dragon in a net. No. I'm going to shift over to the other side here. Which stream are we on right now, Doss?
We are on this one still. So if you switch, then I'll switch to you.
Oh, hey, CZK, Pavel Richter, thanks so much for the $50. That's absolutely awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And your question that came along with that was, do we expect any video from inside of Crew Dragon? I'm sure they had cameras in it. They had test dummies on board with outfitted with instrumentation and everything. I'm sure they had cameras in it, and that if they think it's a pretty good video to release, that they will. So definitely. And Doss, we're on yours, right?
Yes, we're still on mine.
Perfect. All right. But yeah, thank you so much. We super appreciate that that help. But tonight we're not going to get any views like inside of Dragon. Dragon's hatch is still closed as they come into port, so we won't get any views like from our end. But hopefully, if SpaceX has that video, they'll release that.
We're going to lose visibility for just a second here.
Yep,
though?
I've got a wide view of the pier,
cool.
So people can kind of see like how many people. There's a lot of people out here fishing and here for Dragon's return. It's really cool.
Right.
Actually, yeah.
Or we can do that. We can point the camera at you. Hi.
And hi. There we go. Elliot, I love the fact that you think we've already had dinner. We have not.
Dinner. First this, then dinner was what I was told.
Yeah. First this, then dinner. The work never stops, especially for those of us like me who'll be like, coming back for Starlink on Tuesday.
I don't have to buy my own dinner. It's on YouTube, chat.
Yeah.
That was a question.
When is the next Falcon Heavy launch? There is a Falcon Heavy launch scheduled for this year, toward the end of the year, from 39A, but there's no firm date for that just yet. Where is SpaceX planning to recover Dragon capsules during typical crewed missions? Excellent question. Under normal missions, Dragon will splash down in the Atlantic Ocean about 200 miles east off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida. The backup location is actually the Gulf of Mexico. So unlike the cargo Dragons, which come into the Pacific Ocean, the Crew Dragons will either come down 200 miles off of Jacksonville, Florida, or somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico for their recoveries. Excellent question there too. Oh, and Creighton, thanks so much for the $10. He says, here's some money for dinner.
Nice.
Thanks
Thank you, Creighton.
Thanks so much, Creighton. We appreciate it. How far away in minutes or hours is that ship? Oh, like 10 minutes max from being like directly in front of us now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not otherwise known as not far at all.
Not far at all. Yeah.
Not far at all.
All right, I'm going to attempt to move this. If I fall into the
if he falls into the ocean, yeah, we'll come get him, right? Stream it, yes. I won't ask if you're okay. We'll stream it first.
There we go. Well, I don't want to get into your camera angle, but
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. So that is actually Dragon on its boat coming back in. Now the Dragons normally do not come back into Port Canaveral. They go into the naval turn basin here. So it might not come directly in front of us, because it might, depending on how they're coming into port, it might be headed into that. It might be headed into the naval turn basin first. Why are they bringing the capsule back under the cover of darkness? Did something happen? No, they're not bringing it back under darkness for any secretive reason. It's just literally it took them 2 hours to get it on board the recovery vessel, and then it took that long for them to start back. They started back. Julia just got here. They started back about 3, right?
Yeah, about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock. So that's about right. So no, there's no nefarious reason they're bringing it in under the cover of darkness.
The cover of darkness.
If it were, I'll go with this joke here. If they were, it wouldn't be all lit up. But Doss, see if you can get it, because I think it's going into the naval turn area, right, Julia? Or is it going to hook?
They are expected to go into the Navy base.
Yeah.
Which is the East Basin, and they'll go to the Trident port.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
But they'll come in the channel, or is there another back access port?
No, The one that we see in front of us
Okay,
here
cool.
is where they will go.
So then...
They got the gates open for them already.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. So there you have it. It should come right by us then, as we continue to wait for... I love to call him Draggy, like as we wait for Draggy to come back.
Draggy.
Good old Dragon.
Let's see what we can do here. Let me see.
But you can see Dragon underneath the green lights on that boat, right? In its
Absolutely.
nest. You can totally see Dragon silhouetted there under the green between the two white. That is absolutely totally Dragon in there. And hey, Steve, thanks so much for the $15. He says buy a picture of beer on him.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate that. So let's see.
By the way, cameras do not like.
And there we have it right there.
Nighttime returns.
Chris,
There
we've
she
got it on
is.
there. Yeah.
Perfect. Is that the stream we're on?
Yeah, we're on that right now.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
the view they have.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So there you go. No, it's still on mine, DOS.
Let's see here.
Or it's weirdly pixelated right now. That's what I'm seeing.
All right.
Sorry, we're troubleshooting.
I'll look.
We're troubleshooting. And hey, I apologize if I miss any of your questions. If I do miss your question and don't have a chance to, or we don't get to it, feel free to send me that question at ChrisG_NSF, and I'd be happy to get that answered for you if we don't on the stream as well. Carlo Bola, thank you so much for the money as well. We really super appreciate it. We love bringing you all this stuff. It's our passion. It's our drive. Oh, and they're making the turn. They're going to come straight at us and then right by us into that basin. Oh, this is so good. So the second stage was fueled, completely fueled. The only thing that was a mass simulator on the second stage was the engine. They didn't bother putting a Merlin vacuum engine on it since they knew they weren't going to light it and knew they weren't going to recover it. So why throw away a multi-million-dollar engine when you can just, put a weight simulator there? But a great question there too.
Did you know? Here's a fun little
go for it,
fact
Julia.
a fun little fact about the deck of Searcher and Navigator. If you take the nest out of Searcher, you actually can just barely fit a fairing.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you can, but you have to take the nest out. If you take the nest out, it will bump right up to that medical bay.
So that's a good indication of how big Dragon is.
Exactly.
Yes, and how big a payload fairing is. I love it. A question here asking, is it possible that this could be the first Dragon version 2 capsule that they use for the second round of commercial cargo flights? Never say never with SpaceX, although that first CRS-2 contract mission is coming up this year, so it might be a little quick to turn this particular Dragon around for a cargo flight, especially since this is their test article that they really beat up and put through its paces. They want to tear it apart and make sure and see how it all held up. So I wouldn't rule out that it could be used for a cargo flight, but I wouldn't place money on which cargo flight that would be at this moment. Yeah, definitely there. Oh, Pascal, thanks again for the money, man. We really appreciate it. Super appreciate that, man.
Are you on it, Chris?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
Yep. Will this exact capsule be used in the future? So I'm just kind of scrolling through. A lot of you had the exact same questions, which is awesome. Keep asking your questions. And again, if I don't get to it before our stream ends, you can always send them to me at ChrisG_NSF on Twitter, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. What was the maximum altitude reached by Dragon today? Excellent question. It was 40 kilometers. So the abort triggered at 19 kilometers, and Dragon continued to coast up to... there it is. Okay. Sorry, I got to answer your questions and forgot to track the boat. So Dragon aborted at 20 kilometers and continued up to 40 kilometers before beginning the downward arc to the Atlantic. Yeah, and that actually, so there's a question here from Astro YYZ saying that they were a little surprised by Jim Bridenstine's comments on the G-forces that were reached during the abort, and that they only got up to 3.4 Gs max when yesterday they were saying about 4.5 Gs is what they expected. But they also made a point of saying that everything worked as they intended. It was just a much less stressful abort scenario. So that's pretty good. Chris Day, you got an excellent question here, man. What became of the hypergalls? So all of the hypergolic propellants that were used for the Super Draco thrusters, and reminder again for our feed, like we are on an active fishing pier, so you will see fishing reels come into frame. This is all part of being a community on the Space Coast.
It's true.
Very true. So all of the hypergolic propellant that were used for the Super Draco thrusters burned to depletion. But the hypergolic propellants that are used for the maneuvering thrusters, they had a full propellant load on them as well, and they are still inside Dragon, and they will be safely offloaded once they get it back into port. So again, excellent questions here, everyone. I'm just kind of scrolling through real quick to see what I've got. Techniques, thanks so much for the money, and again, we really do appreciate it. Oh, and a special shout out to Julia, they say.
Aww.
Yes.
Why, thank you guys.
Julia is awesome. We love Julia, but thank you too. We love bringing you guys all of this stuff, and you know, it's our passion, and we're happy that we're able to share it all, with you.
This is my happy place.
So Paul Denny, great question here. Will future cargo missions berth or dock since they're based on the Crew Dragon? So once they switch to the CRS-2 contract, beginning with CRS-21 mission this year, they will start using the Dragon version 2 in a cargo configuration, and it will dock to the International Space Station. So CRS-20, the one that's coming up in March, actually is the final flight of the first version of Cargo Dragon, and the final time that a Dragon will be grabbed by the robot arm and berthed to the station instead of docking itself. Oh, Brett, man, $55. Thank you so much, man.
Jeez,
really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
He says these launches are very inspiring, and you all are doing a great job bringing us the live footage. I love the future. Keep up the good work, and have a couple drinks on me. Thanks, man. We really appreciate that. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so the boat is almost directly in front of us now. I'm still scrolling through to find your questions, but I'm gonna concentrate a little more on following the boat and tracking the boat.
So what I'm noticing right now is they seem to be actually a little bit closer to the jetty pier than they were when they came in during DM1, so we should get a nice good look.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. That's why we came all the way down here. Yeah.
Normally I'd say down there where there's a little bit more light, but I'm enjoying this view a little bit more in comparison. So
this is
good
quite
choice,
nice.
y'all. Good choice.
So we do have a couple questions in here about was the first stage actually blown up by the automated flight termination system, or did it break up aerodynamically? It did break up aerodynamically, even though it looked like an explosion. It was an aerodynamic breakup of the first stage. The AFTS, or automated flight termination system, did not fire. And the biggest visual reason we know it didn't fire, besides SpaceX has told us that it didn't, is the fact that the second stage survived the breakup of the first stage and survived intact until it hit the water. And if the automated flight termination system had triggered, it would have blown the second stage and the first stage simultaneously. And I know some of you are saying in here that Elon said in the press conference it was the thrust structure. Let's just say Elon had a lot on his plate. It was the first stage. It was the second stage that survived, and was what we caught on video slamming into the ocean. You can actually very clearly in our photos that Mike Deep and Nate Barker got for us at NASA Spaceflight, you can clearly see the interstage still attached to it as well. So here it comes, everyone.
Okay, and we have Dasta shout out. right, so I don't get in anybody's
way.
And
Vlex20 thank you so much. I think we missed your contribution to us earlier in the stream. Thanks so much for the $10. And hey man, good to hear you. Good to hear you. And I hope you're safe wherever you are in Australia, and that you were safe throughout all the bushfires that are still going on out there, but when they were really bad a few weeks ago. We hope you're all right out there. So, still scrolling for some of your questions, guys. All right, let's stop with the questions for just a second and really focus on Dragon here.
Let's enjoy this. Oh, yeah. Ideal.
So there is Dragon. Look at that. Nice and white, nice and clean. Very little scarring and charring from the abort. And those right there, that's one of the Super Dracos right there toward the bottom. Right there that fired, that was the star of our show today, as those Super Dracos fired to pull Dragon away. Julie, what were your thoughts? Did you get to see it today or no?
I got a glimpse of it. It happened so fast.
Yeah.
It was really that fast. If you blinked, you would have missed that with how fast those Super Dracos launched it.
Oh yeah.
And then the actual fireball kind of dispersed right into the clouds. So.
All right, so those are two of the 4 Super Dracos. You see those little gray oblong rectangular things toward the bottom of Dragon. Those are the Super Dracos that fired to pull Dragon away from the Falcon 9. You can see the crew hatch actually with the light on inside the capsule. That's pretty cool.
Very fun.
And that's Dragon, and Dragon is put into what is known as the nest, so the Dragon's nest, on board its recovery ship after they haul it out of the water.
And we should get a great view as it passes us. Actually, from the rear, you get lots of nice lighting to show off the capsule.
This is also, this is also amazing. I mean, these capsules, are absolutely stunning. Not just the Dragon, but Starliner is really impressive to see up close too. Starliner doesn't get as much love as Starliner deserves, really. Starliner's a truly good vehicle. And it was really awesome to be able to see it last week, the one that flew the orbital flight test mission, and to see the one that'll fly the crew flight test mission later this year. It was really awesome to get to see that in the processing facility at Kennedy last week. And if you're interested in what it looked like, we actually have a video of that on our YouTube channel. If you want to go look to see our tour of the commercial crew and cargo processing facility at Kennedy, where the Starliners are built and refurbished. I also love that no matter how technical spaceflight is, we still just use pickup truck tie down straps to to secure it. That is so awesome. Doss, man, I can't wait to see the video that you're getting, with the super zoom.
Some 4K video right now as it went by.
That's awesome.
And y'all can sort of see some of my camera settings on the screen on occasion, and I am recording 4K video of this that we can use for some other videos later. But that's.
And what you're seeing the boat do now, it's making its turn into the naval turn basin here, which is where the Crew Dragons will go for offloading when they come back into Port Canaveral. They do still have hazardous propellants on board that need to be safely taken off, so keeping them as far away from other bases and other really actively used sites at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station is really important, and the naval station over here has all of the equipment necessary to handle that sort of processing as Dragon comes back in.
And pretty soon we'll be having some precious cargo, and it'll be a bonus to be able to take those astronauts directly onto base. Right.
Yeah, the astronauts will be on this boat too, or helicoptered into if they need to be. It's going to be what this year holds for promise is really cool. Is really, really cool.
That's crazy that they got that.
All right, I'm going to keep scrolling to see some of your to get some of your questions. Londona Landon, thank you so much. We really appreciate. London, not Landon. Ha ha ha! Now I get it. I had to read your avatar to get that. The joys of trying to pronounce screen names sometimes. But London, not Landon. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. Why doesn't SpaceX launch more from Pad 39A anymore? Well, buckle up, they're about to, because they have a busy year ahead of them. A real busy year ahead of them. So there will be more launches off 39A, but they've been really busy at 39A building part of the Starship launch pad at 39A.
Yes,
and it has been, it's amazing. You could see a lot of those structures actually on the webcast from SpaceX of the countdown and liftoff today. But that's what they've really been doing at 39A since the last Falcon Heavy, because this was the first flight actually off of 39A since the Falcon Heavy in June of last year. So has been a while, but they've been doing things. It hasn't been because of like issues with the pad or anything like that. They've just really been getting it ready and finalizing it for crew, and then getting it ready for its role as one of the Starship launch pads as well. Still looking. I'm scrolling through. I'm so far behind in your questions, guys. You guys have you all have amazing questions. Really amazing questions. So again, I do apologize if I don't get to answer it. If I don't, please send it to me on Twitter at Chris. I'm gonna get at Chris G. I'm gonna put that up in the chat so you all have it, and can send me the questions if we don't get them answered. Very happy to do that for everyone. And yeah, that's very true. Reusable capsules are a very new thing for NASA. The Apollo, the Gemini, and the Mercury capsules were not reusable. Then NASA switched to the Space Shuttle system, which was reusable. But now we're going back from a winged aircraft to a capsule design. But the capsule reusability is definitely new for NASA. You know, honestly, you know, like SpaceX with their reusability pioneering, and Boeing, which is the company that built the space shuttle orbiters. Yeah. You know, their heritage with reusability, like, I mean, those were two really great companies to choose for these reusable capsules and this new system. I agree. You know what? I agree. I agree, William. Welcome back, Dragon. Welcome back, Dragon.
Tell them that whenever I'm showing my camera with the stuff on the screen, the shaking is my pulse.
Okay, so when we're on the what I call affectionately the DOS zoom camera, it's not that he's shaking, it's not that the camera isn't stable. This camera is so powerful that the shaking is actually the beating of his heart that the tripod is catching up and transferring there. So it is about to disappear from view. So I'll come back to some of your questions in a minute, but I want to make sure to capture this as the ship and Dragon disappear from view into the naval port area here at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Port Canaveral. Because man, it's been a day, but to have Dragon back after such a successful test, you know, I said it earlier, but I want to say it again. Like, SpaceX made today look incredibly easy. This was probably more than Falcon Heavy, more than Demo 1. This was probably the most difficult thing they have done with their hardware. Purposefully failing a booster, knowing it was going to be ripped apart by aerodynamic forces, just so you could test a launch escape system that you hope you'll never need, but you need to know it'll work if you do end up needing it. This was very hard. There were a lot of things that could have gone very badly today. And the fact that it all went perfectly is a true testament to SpaceX's engineers, their design team, their technicians, the launch control team, the pad processing teams, the Dragon, the people who build Dragon. I mean, if you know anyone, or even if you just want to say a thank you, like, to anyone you know, or just a shout out into the universe to those people who build the Crew Dragons, no matter what system of the Dragons it is. Seriously, thank them, because it looked easy, it wasn't, and everything you saw today was a testament to their hard work, the tens and tens of hours of overtime they put in a week on this, the sacrifices they make to not see their families in run-ups to tests like this. This was their moment to shine, and they did. So make sure to, if you know anyone who works for SpaceX, if you just want to throw it out into the ether that is the internet, thank them, because truly this was the culmination of all of their work today that we saw. Dust, you want to talk for a minute so I can like catch my breath?
But I've been holding my breath trying to keep the camera stable.
I know, but like now that it's disappeared, like let's switch for a minute because I want to see if there are some like other questions that we can answer here before we head out to dinner to actually eat.
Yeah, to actually eat. Yeah. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on this. Chris and I just said we wanted to see this return. We came out here with the cameras. We had everything still basically plugged in. We still had batteries and everything. And it was beautiful watching that thing go by. I want to see, Chris, I still want to see a booster come in.
Oh, no, I do too. Don't get me wrong.
Like,
if Starlink launches Tuesday and comes back Saturday, I think I'm coming down.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know it yet, but I'll try to bring my girlfriend.
There you go. It's a good way. It's a family outing.
To let her see it too, come in and everything like that, yeah.
It's a family outing.
You know, this is actually one of the things that we don't talk a lot about. Like, the people who work all of these missions, right?
Yeah.
Unless your spouse or significant other
also
happens to also work on base or work for the same company, we never get to bring our significant others to these things.
Yep.
They usually never get to bring them. This is not something we share with them. This is something that takes us away from them.
Yeah, there's no like friends and family press badge or anything.
Yeah, like
right?
I mean, like I haven't seen my significant other since Thursday morning when she kissed me goodbye in the morning. Like, we've texted and talked, but like, you know, this is a sacrifice we make. I mean, like, Das, you came from North Carolina.
I drove down from North Carolina for this.
Yeah, you know, like, so you know, like, we talk a lot too about like, the teams, but you know, we should also mention too, like, because I did terrifyingly forget to mention them, the teams that were on the recovery boats today.
Right.
The teams that are on Go Mystery and Go Mischief and the Tugs and Hawk and of course I Still Love You, which are on their way to the landing site for Starlink on Tuesday.
Yep.
You know, they leave for weeks at a time, not knowing sometimes when they're going to come back because some of these launch delays that we get are not long enough to justify the whole fleet coming
all
back
the way
in.
back and going all the way.
It's more like just go to Morehead City, North Carolina.
Yeah,
is
Morehead
normally
City's become a popular place, especially with Starlink. It's basically directly to the west. It's an easy escape.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, we've got this crew coming home, but with that crew going back up to Starlink right now, everything that's coming our way, the fleet is experiencing right now. So speaking as someone who was on a boat today, that's not a joyride, and they're out in that right now.
Yeah, like when you see us talk about like the recovery fleet dodging to Morehead City, that should give you an idea of how bad the conditions are out there that they're dodging away from this stuff. Before we continue, I just want to say real quick before I forget, Hendrik, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate the 1540 euro. I have no idea what that
154.
We'll see what that,
154.
Oh, Das gets it. I don't know. This joke's going over my head for some reason. But thank you so much. It is really exciting to see that U.S. crew launch capabilities are back in business, right? Like this year feels like the year that both SpaceX and Boeing are gonna get there.
Yep.
Right, and that's amazing.
This is why I moved here.
Yeah.
This year is why I moved here, to see
kidding.
history being made.
And
I miss shuttles, so to me this is dynamic. Every achievement from every company right now really hits home.
And I mean, you know, like what a year too, because it's not just the year that commercial crew is going to start, that, you know, launching humans. I'm not just going to go with Americans, humans, because these capsules are also going to be launching Canadians and Japanese citizens and European Union citizens and Russians and you know, and all of the international partners out there. You know, this is when we're going to be able to launch people again from here.
From home.
This is a huge part of our identity here in Central Florida, is the space program. And to see that coming to fruition the same year that SpaceX is going to shoot off 24 Starlink missions. A boat is angry. If Mike Deep were here, I would say that's his anhinga from our wildlife excursion yesterday. But anyway, where's my train of thought on that? It's good to see that coming back because it's our livelihood. And you know, we have very thankfully had the Russians as partners who had the Soyuzes to keep that crew rotation going to the International Space Station. A lot of people really look down on the Russian space program, and I don't understand that, because those vehicles are robust. They are beasts, and when we need them to do something, they do something. Like that abort, like that in-flight abort. You know, in 2018. And you know, without the Russians, without the Soyuz, we would not have had access to our space station.
Yep.
Exactly.
For how many years?
Well, it's been 9 years since the space shuttle program ended. And one thing too with the start of the commercial crew program, this doesn't mean Americans stop launching on Soyuz.
Right.
Quite the opposite. There will always be one American and one Russian on every Soyuz.
Right.
There will always be one American and one Russian on the Dragon and Starliner regular crew rotation flights, not the crew test flights, Demo 2 and crew flight test. But there'll always be a Russian, there'll always be an American. Because of the way the contracts for the station are written, there always has to be one American and one Russian on the station. So if the Russians only go on one Soyuz a year, and there's a medical emergency and they both have to come home, now there's no Russian on the station.
Russians, yeah.
Right? Likewise for commercial crew. So there'll always be a Russian, there'll always be an American.
Just as part of the fact that we work together to put it, right?
Well, this was us. Like, I mean, it was the U.S. segment and the U.S. in cooperation with the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, those 4 agencies working together on one side of the station and Russia and Roscosmos working on the other.
Right.
I mean, it was from the beginning this. Is supposed to be this.
Yeah.
So
it's been a very, very big day.
It has.
It really has.
It has. And you know what? I'm getting hungry, Doss.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty hungry here.
I don't know about you. Pickup is back for the scheduled time. Good thing pickup is back on for the scheduled time. Huh? Sorry. One of my Michael Baylor just texted me something. I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding what he's telling me correctly. But again, I do want to thank you so much. I'm going to do one quick last check for anyone who gave us any money that I may have missed in here. I don't think I missed anyone else. If I did, I am absolutely so sorry.
You got Brett Little with the $55, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
thanks again, Brett.
I think I got everyone who are super donors and everything. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. It helps us have the best possible equipment for you to bring you all of this stuff. Thank you so much again. My Twitter handle is in the chat. If you search for @ChrisG_NSF, you'll see it in there. That is my Twitter handle. I do apologize if we did not get to all of your questions. You all had amazing questions.
Yep.
So if I didn't get to your question, send it to me in a tweet.
On Twitter. On Twitter.
On Twitter.
On Twitter.
Hey, you're more of the streaming person than I am, Doug.
Tweet it to me. I'm hungry.
Tweet it to me. My DMs are open. You can DM it to me if you'd, rather not ask it very publicly. I'm happy to answer all of these questions for you. So please, if we didn't get to your questions, send them along to me. And I will get them answered for you. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow. But tomorrow, I'll get them answered for you tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us, Doss.
Yep.
Thanks for driving down, man. It's always cool to hang out with you, man.
I love to come down here. It's a lot of fun. And plus, I love playing with all the gear and stuff too. So
right. It was so fun to watch you at the Wildlife Preserve yesterday. he was testing his new stability toy for his gimbal, camera, his gimbal, and it looked like he was walking a dog. In one of the photos, he took his camera out for a walk.
My camera dog, awesome. My camera hound.
And Julia, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. To those of you still watching, thank you so much. Before I go through the end spiel, reminder, Starlink launches in 36 hours.
What's the deal with the static fire on that? Are they doing
static fire sometime tomorrow?
Sometime tomorrow. So you've got a launch, a destruct, a recovery, a static fire, a launch, and yet another recovery, all in the same week.
And
welcome to the Space Coast.
And at least for the team who's here, at least I will be here Tuesday bringing you the live stream for the Starlink launch. We might have some other people staying there looking from our team to see what they can do and what they can support. But a Tuesday at 11:59 a.m., 16:59 UTC is Starlink's launch time. We'll be here to bring that to you. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so. And turn on notifications. We don't bring you frivolous streams. We only bring you cool rocket stuff. from around the world.
That's super important to me. Like when the stream goes live, it's because we have something you have to see.
Yes, yes.
We don't just go live because like, I don't know, look, I'm eating a taco.
Trust me, when we're doing the test streams where we are eating tacos to make sure things work, you can't see that.
We don't do that. We have an entire process.
And if you haven't already, please go to NASAspaceflight.com. Take a look at all the articles, all the coverage that we bring you there. We're not just YouTube. We're an online news organization. We have news articles. We have online forum discussion threads. So if you have questions, you can sign up for free, and you can ask your questions to experts in the aerospace community and get them answered. So definitely head on over there and check it out. And until next time, I'm Chris Gephardt, Assistant Managing Editor of NASA Spaceflight. I will see you all Tuesday for Starlink.
All right. Later, nerds.
And...
oh yeah, I gotta press the button. Here, let's see. I'll press the button real quick and we'll turn it off.